I just returned from Trinidad and Tobago, and man, what a trip. It was great. I actually got there a week before the crew. And the great thing about Trinidad and Tobago is I had never been there before. I was so curious about it. I had read so much about it. I'd had so many friends from Trinidad and Tobago, and they would tell me about it. And the more they told me, the more I wanted to go. So when I was finally able to go, I had all this anticipation, all these ideas and images in my head. Those images sort of gave way to reality, and the reality was much cooler than even what I had imagined. It was so much flavorful. It was really cool. Made some friends there for life. The guys from Anti-Everything were the best. I spent most of my time in Trinidad, but I did spend some time in Tobago as well. And the distinction between the two islands is pretty clear-cut, but at the same time, you can tell they're the same country as well. I can't wait, man. I want to go back because I made a lot of good friends, and I want to go back, and people were so friendly. They were so nice to me. And, I can't wait to go back, hopefully after this airs, and I'm sure they'll tell me if we got it right, or, you know, they're not shy. If we didn't get it right or if we messed up, they're going to tell us. Can't wait to go back.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Carlos Phoenix with the Indie Lounge, and we are doing the show called The Raw Behind the Raw Travel. And I have our guest, Robert Rose. How are you, Robert?
What's up, Carlos? How you doing, buddy?
I'm very good. So you're looking a lot better and sharper this time using your iPhone as our webcam. So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So how are things going?
It's good, man. It's good. We've let's see. We just showed week number 3, so we're showing episode number 3, and I'm working way ahead. We're editing right now episode 114, which is Mexico City. I believe it's 114. I can't remember the number, but it doesn't matter.
Okay, very good.
To give you an idea how far ahead, we're working about 9 episodes ahead. And I can't wait for the new stuff to air. It's like watching the old stuff air is painful because, you know, I've seen it so many times, and you know how it is, man. You always want to show your latest, best stuff, but, you know, we got to go through the cycle, and, you know, just trust me, everybody. It gets better. It gets better.
So this episode was in Trinidad and Tobago. Is that how it's pronounced?
Yeah. Yeah, Trinidad and Tobago, and I think most people pronounce it Tobago. Tobago, yeah, Tobago, but it's Tobago. And it's weird, though, because I'd always called it Tobago before I went there, and but it is Trinidad and Tobago. Now you got me thinking about it, dude. I'm totally like, oh.
Well, it was very cool because I have a lot of friends who are from Trinidad. And yeah. I have to be honest, I never so much as looked up any information about it other than I know where it was. Right. So I thought this particular episode was really informative. You got into that history of it and the culture of it a lot more than I felt in the other episodes, which I thought was really cool because I felt kind of educated after the episode.
Right.
So I'm guessing you flew in to Trinidad.
Well, yeah. I guess
because the episodes aren't in order, so you.
Yeah, no, yeah, we weren't. This was I produced this when I was living in Colombia. Believe it or not, one of the reasons we chose Trinidad was, number one, I had heard, like you, I had a lot of friends from Trinidad, and I had heard a lot about it, but there wasn't a lot of information out there. Like it wasn't really on the tourist trail. And that was the one reason. Then another reason was, quite honestly, I was living in Colombia, South America at the time, and flights were really cheap.
Okay.
So since my entire crew was living in Colombia, it for whatever reason, it's cheap. Colombians don't need a visa to go to Trinidad. One of the few countries they don't need a visa to go to.
Cool.
So for whatever reason, don't know why. And so the flights were cheap, and so we were like, wow, this is a perfect opportunity to do what I've always wanted to do, which is go to Trinidad. And I didn't want to go during Carnival. That's what Trinidad's really known for. I would just get a very skewed experience of Trini culture, you know, during that one time of year when most tourists see it. So I was like, no, let's go when it's not Carnival. We'll talk about Carnival, we'll cover it, but let's get a true taste of who are these people and what's it like. And I'm really glad we did. And I went about a week ahead of the crew.
Okay.
And did some pre-production, sort of getting my feet wet, figuring out the culture, which was a trip. And then I stayed for a couple weeks after the crew left.
Nice.
So I spent almost a month in Trinidad.
So anything that we didn't get to see that you might want to tell us about?
Well, I think, yeah. First of all, they don't have taxis. So when you're in Port of Spain, and this wigged me out because I woke up the first day and I was groggy. You know, I'd gotten in late and I was groggy, and it's like, wow, I'm in a strange country. And I walk in to order some breakfast, some coffee. First of all, I couldn't understand them. They're speaking English, but I couldn't understand them because their accent's so strong. And they speak a dialect that unless they decide not to speak that dialect, you don't understand it. They may as well be speaking another language. But it is English. It's like, me be going to the da-da-da, you know, and I can't imitate well either. But anyway, they finally communicated. I was asking them, you know, I need to get from here to there. You know, what's the best way? And when I finally was able to understand, they were like, you know, I was like, how do you get a taxi around here? And they're like, you know, taxis are just cars that drive up and down. They look like regular cars. They have special license plates. And essentially, it's a shared taxi kind of situation. So you wave your hand, they stop, and they just go one direction. So they go the main road this way, and if you want to, then you have to go to the corner and catch one to go that way. They don't really take lefts and right. Yes, they don't really it's like a bus with a route, except it's a taxi. Yeah, and you're sharing. Okay. You know, you're getting in there with
that's an important bit of information that's not in the episode.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Well, the episode I thought was fascinating. The one thing from the folks that I know that are from Trinidad is that their food is phenomenal. But you tried some things that I was gonna. As soon as I saw it, I was like, okay, I got to ask him. Was that really good? Particularly the drinks. You had this weird drink, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, I mean, all of it was weird, and that's the thing about Trinidad and Tobago, TNT, is that, you know, we don't want to be the food travel show because everybody's doing the food travel show, so we're like,
right,
you know, we'll try the food. It's part of the culture, the main focus of the show. Well, in TNT, especially in Port of Spain, that was a big part of the show because the food is so bizarre
and diverse.
You saw me have pig's foot. Yeah, very diverse. You got the East Indian influence, African, Hispanic, like basically all the cultures. It's a representation of all the cultures there. So you saw me have roti, which is from East India, and basically it was delicious, but it's not like evidently what you would get in India itself.
Right.
And then you saw me have pig's foot sauce, which I don't know what influence that came from. I guess the I don't know. A lot of people eat pig's feet. But yeah, I've never had pig's feet in my life, and it was not pretty. It was ugly. It was disgusting as far as I'm concerned. It was like eating a big thing of fat with some flesh. It was like pig flesh. And I'm like, you were eating? That's what it felt like. Chicken feet, which are actual chicken feet, boiled or something. I remember eating that, and it was crunchy. Cow heel soup. So I guess it came from the hoof of a cow. That was actually pretty good. And then the juices, they're just juice connoisseurs, man. They mix and match all these different flavors and stuff. And the juice that I had was a Guinness sea moss shake, which is it's a Guinness beer mixed in with some sea moss, which they say gives you extra energy for, like, in other words, you don't need Viagra.
Nighttime activity.
That's
yeah, I got that.
Yeah. Oh, you did? Okay. I didn't know I can try to keep it family friendly, you know, in the show and here. I don't know who's watching.
I was watching with a friend of mine. We just looked at each other like.
Well, you know, it's funny. My sister, I saw on her Facebook, my brother-in-law is a preacher actually at a church, and I saw she was on Facebook promoting this episode, and I was like, of all the episodes, it's probably the one I wouldn't promote because, you know, you got Carnival dancing, you've got, you know, the Guinness Sea Moss Shake. And I think somewhere in there, I asked the punk band, like, you know, do people think this is the devil's music? But that's the thing about Trinidad is it's a very religious place. Okay. It's a place of contrast. People are extremely religious, like fundamental Christian kind of stuff. But there's also mosque because you have a lot of Muslims there.
Right. Yeah.
And there's Buddhist temples. Like, it's crazy. It's an extremely religious place. It's a melting pot of religions. But some during Carnival, all that stuff goes out the window, and everybody's just having a good time, regardless from where they're from. And I would really believe there's a million people on the island. I think every 99.9% of them probably participate in some way in Carnival, and whether they be Muslim or whatnot, I don't know. It's crazy.
One thing I felt I got from the episode was how they understand that it's diverse, and the band mentioned this. It's still a very young country, so they don't want to call it a culture,
right?
But it's almost like an opportunity that everybody seems to want to take advantage of celebrating the diversity that's there. So I just that's what I got from it anyway. Being there, I'm sure it might be a little different. Like here, you have certain areas of town where it's all one race or one type of culture or certain type of food, kind of like Queens in New York, where you walk a few blocks and it's all Greek, and you walk a few more blocks it's all Indian, and so on. But so production wise, any stories on that?
Let me think. Well, everybody was really nice. It was helped. I was helped immensely, even though I had a hard time understanding some people sometimes. And that's in the second part of the episode, which airs this coming weekend. You'll see that where I misunderstand people in it. It makes for some comedy.
Okay, great.
But basically, everybody was really nice. The one thing I will tell you that Trinidad, and the thing that follows us wherever we tend to go, it seems, is that it has a reputation for being extremely dangerous. And so people had security gates up. They had dogs, guard dogs, alarm systems. I don't know where all that's coming from. I do know when I read the paper, I stopped reading it because it was like, dang, whoo, there's a lot of violence on this little place,
Wow.
But as for me personally, not even close, not even one problem. The only real problem I had is I think we were illegally parked, and it felt like a policeman was trying to shake me down, and he was trying to, hold out for a bribe, and I was just acting ignorant, what do you want to do? Do we go to the police station? What's up? Do what you got to do, man. Basically is what I'm saying. And he's like, no, it's okay, I guess. But he kept dragging on and saying the same thing. And I'm like, well, are you going to give me a ticket or not, dude? So, but I think that's pretty common wherever you go. It's the first time I'd ever really felt that. And the other thing is that they're very non-patronizing to tourists, which I found refreshing. Sometimes, believe it or not, a place can be too friendly. And because if you're a tourist, you sort of want to blend in, and it's impossible if you stand out, and then they just come to you, and not that they ask you questions, but they want you to buy stuff, and so they're being friendly in order for you to buy stuff. When Trinidad, they pretty much leave you alone unless you ask a question or if you need some help, and then they're extremely friendly. And it was pretty cool that they were like, buy it, don't buy it. It was a much more laissez-faire attitude to the tourism. In Trinidad and Tobago, it gets a little more touristy, so that attitude changes a little bit. But it's an interesting place. It's a very fascinating place.
So you mentioned a little bit about the next episode. Anything you want to focus on there?
Yeah, I think the next episode people really should tune in because that's really where things get, I think, pretty interesting. A couple things that we did. We went to the southern part of Trinidad, and we saw what is called Pitch Lake, which is really one of the few asphalt lakes in the world. So it's not visually great television because it's asphalt, but it's naturally occurring asphalt, and it's pretty fascinating.
That's weird.
And it is weird. It is weird. And our guide, they tell you in the guidebooks, they tell you that, only get a guy with a red shirt. Well, we got down there, and there was some guy with an old red shirt. I guess he'd picked out of the garbage dump or something. Anyway, he was just a hustler, pure and simple.
Wow.
His name was Mice. And, we just couldn't get them we were ignorant, and we just okay. And they saw we had TV cameras, and they just went nuts. And these were very unofficial tourist guides, not the official guys. And it turned out to be funny, but I was really irritated during the filming of it because they just, you would ask them a question, and they would just start all over with the speech and start, all they knew was the speech. And after the speech, if you're like, well, why is it like that? They would be like, as I said, Pitch Lake began in the year blah blah blah, and I'm like, oh my god, it's like a, and they were just yelling at the camera, and I couldn't get in a word edgewise. So they were the stars, you know, they were the celebrities. So that's an interesting thing. We get a little eco-friendly here because the sea turtles are on the north part of the island, and you have to have special permission to see
Right.
them.
Okay.
But they come all the way from Africa in some cases to lay their eggs at this one place. And basically they lay their eggs overnight, and then they get in the water and go back to Africa. And it's pretty wild to watch them. They're on the endangered list. So you have to have special permission to see them. Usually you can only see them at night, but if you get up early in the morning, like just when the sun is getting up, you don't need the permission, and you can go see the stragglers still doing it. And we need daylight to shoot because you can't put light on them, artificial light.
Okay.
It interrupts the egg laying process. So we used an infrared light at night, which is okay, but it's ugly footage. So we got it really, really early when we wouldn't disturb them with any lights, and we filmed them, and there were a lot of stragglers out there. So that's a tip for everybody.
Okay, very cool.
And then if you go to Tobago, we were there during April. The first weekend, I think it was Easter, kicks off the goat racing season in Bucos Bay. And Bucos Bay is tiny. It's ridiculously small, but they had this huge party because it was Easter weekend. And essentially what that meant for me, no sleep.
Oh, we have lost him. So let me pause right here. And I lost you for a second. Not a problem. I thought I lost you for good.
I had a phone call.
All right. Well, I'm not going to keep you because I know you got some things that are going on in terms of getting this show up and going. So I do appreciate all the time you have given us. And ladies and gentlemen, just, I do want you to check out the website, rawtravel.tv, for your local listings and to start catching up with the show. And really, it's a very different show, completely independently done. Rob, you seem like you want to say something.
No. You want me to say something? I don't know. No, I'm saying no. I think you're doing a good job, my friend.
Okay.
Completely independent. Rawtravel.tv, where to watch is where you want to go to see if it's in your town. If it's not in your city, drop us an email and we'll tell you who you can email to try to get it in your city.
Well, very cool. We'll end it right there. And ladies and gentlemen, just keep watching. We're constantly going to be talking about this show. We're going to do it as weekly as possible, provided Robert Rose, who's a very busy man, has the available time to be able to do this, where we can talk about each individual episode and get into some of that behind the scenes and some of the stuff that he has to go through to get this independent show in front of you. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Robert.
All right.
Have a good night, everyone.
All right. Thanks, Carlos.
All
Thanks,
right, take
man.
care.
All right. Bye. Bye.
Very good.